With the release of Sparking Zero, I figured let's take a look at the last remaining Saiyan mod by King for Risk of Rain 2. In this guide, we'll be going over skills, transformations, gameplay tips, and item synergies. While Vegeta might be a projectile character, Trunks is all about getting in their faces and cutting enemies down to size. Just like Vegeta and Goku, Trunks has the passive ability Saiyan Blood, granting him a ki meter instead of traditional cooldowns. This changes the gameplay, making Trunks more about meter management, very similar to how the Void Fiend works. Most of his moves outside of his primary cost ki to use. The only ways to regenerate it are melee attacks, charging your ki with your utility skill, or through the bandolier item. With Trunks, you're able to fly by holding down the jump button. You can then sprint in the air to boost while flying. Doing so constantly drains ki. Trunks also possesses the ability to get a Zenkai boost, a unique effect that is triggered by either dying or staying below 20% HP for 30 seconds. Obtaining one gives you a plus 10% to your base health regen, armor, attack damage, attack speed, and movement speed. You likely won't run into this much unless you're playing multiplayer.
Hey Goku! I'm Goku! Let's get to it! I'm Goku!
Trunks' main primary skill is the Sword Strike, dealing 320% damage and gaining 9% ki back per strike. Each strike moves you forward, so you can use it as a pseudo form of flight if you run out of ki. Trunks' secondary primary skill is the exact same except it doesn't move you forward, meaning you have free movement while using it. Personally, I find this a bit hard to use as it makes actually attacking the enemies a bit awkward. I would much rather deal with the auto move than worrying about if my attacks will connect or not. Unlike Goku and Vegeta, Trunks does not have any projectile for his secondary skill. Instead, he has the Shining Sword attack, a dash type move that costs 30 ki to activate and has iframes. This allows Trunks to quickly get out of the way of projectiles or close the gap on enemies. You can hold the attack to do a rapid barrage of hits. This is fantastic as it lets you shred through enemies, especially bosses. Before you get access to his Heat Dome attack, this is one of Trunks' best moves. His utility skill is Ki Charge. This skill causes you to stop mid-air or on the ground and begin rapidly charging ki, gaining 20% per second. This is incredibly vital to Trunks' game plan as he, just like the other Saiyans, is very reliant on ki, as he needs it to transform and use any of his special moves. Only relying on melee and items to generate ki is a good way to die. His other utility skill is Flip, costing 20 ki to activate and granting iframes. It's essentially a really big jump. Similar to his dash skill, it's useful for getting out of a cluster of enemies, while Trunks has very little ranged options. The lack of being able to consistently generate ki does not make this skill useful at all, especially when his only secondary skill already has a similar function. Trunks' only projectile attack is his special skill Burning Attack, costing 50 ki to cast and having a small startup time. It fires an exploding ball that deals 1700% damage. While it's no beam attack, it is still a projectile, and that does give Trunks a bit of AoE. His other special skill, Swift Massacre, is similar to Merc's Eviscerate skill. Costing 100 ki and dealing 1400% damage, it scales massively with attack speed. This move also makes Trunks invincible during the move. I prefer Burning Attack, but I think both of these skills are about the same in terms of usefulness. However, once you start unlocking forms, and especially get the Heat Dome attack, these skills don't really matter. Finally, while not an attack, he does have a unique mechanic similar to Goku's Kaioken. By doing damage with melee attacks, you fill up your sword meter. Once it's full, you can hold F to activate it, granting you 40% damage and 30% crit chance. This mechanic is a bit underwhelming, and often I do not end up using it, as there's very little point once we get into how you should be playing. Goku and Vegeta aren't the only Super Saiyans around here. Trunks comes packed with tons of transformations, making up the true meat of his character. Being able to level up transformations to achieve mastery and unlock new ones creates a fun gameplay loop of powering up a new form until you unlock the next. To unlock forms, you need to level up your mastery level, a unique mechanic for each Saiyan. This level can be increased by dealing damage of any kind or just by existing. Trunks is able to transform once you've achieved enough mastery levels. This is the true strength of his character, as you can level up each transformation to achieve mastery and unlock new ones. You'll want to level up your forms evenly as you get them along with your base form, as this is the quickest way to gain the most levels. While most characters in Risk of Rain only have 4 skills and a passive, with Trunks, each transformation grants a unique V skill. Trunks, unlike the other Saiyans, doesn't have as many unique skills, so I'll be grouping the ones with similar skills together. Super Saiyan. His first transformation. His V skill is Change the Future, which is essentially a shotgun blast in front of you. This attack deals 1000% damage and costs 100 ki to cast. It works as a great finisher, and you can take out a large chunk of enemies with it due to its AoE. This skill gets outclassed pretty hard by enemy scaling, and essentially starts to not hurt them later on. But for early game, this skill is a fantastic finisher. However, this is all outclassed by his next form, Ascended Super Saiyan. This form is Trunks' bread and butter, granting him his ultimate skill, Heat Dome Attack. With this, you stand still and begin charging energy around you before unleashing it in a giant column. This ability is fantastic, and is easily the best out of any of the Saiyan characters. Now, with enough ki, you're able to just detonate the entire area around you. Remember how I said this game is all about killing enemies without having to actually do anything? Well, this is how you do that. I always recommend taking Super Saiyan 3 with you on your runs, as that is his highest form with this amazing ability. Plus, we always knew 3 was the best form. That being said, Ultra Saiyan is not the best form. While in this form, your attack speed and movement speed are decreased, while your damage and armor are pumped up. This form is way too bulky to be useful, much like the show. In Risk of Rain, sitting still is the easiest way to die, so this makes you a sitting duck. His V skill costs 50 ki and grants him a buff to damage and health regen, which is only useful if you activate it and then use a different form. This form isn't even worth taking, and it's even worse than Blue Vegeta, which I didn't think was possible.
I have to show my father the best I've got. How you like that?
Weak! On a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give you a 3.
The second to last unique form for Trunks is Super Saiyan 2, giving him the Masenko skill. You fire a quick beam that deals 1850% damage. Also, not that great. It essentially locks you in place for a few seconds to deal a low power attack. Having Burning Attack is a better alternative if you just want a projectile, as Burning Attack still allows you to move while casting it. Still, if there's a line of enemies and you're far enough away, it isn't too bad to throw out. For Trunks' ultimate form, we have Super Saiyan Rage. Once activated, you get this cool cutscene before powering up in a Pillar of Light. That, however, is where the cool stops. While the buffs in this form are fantastic, do you remember his unique sword meter that we don't end up using very much? This form's V skill is tied to that. Once your meter is full and costing 300 ki to cast, you can activate the Sword of Hope, granting you a 80% damage and 60% crit chance increase. While not being as powerful as Vegeta and Goku's ultimate forms, Trunks' form comes to him much quicker than them, as you only need 55 levels to unlock Rage. However, anything after Super Saiyan 3 is really just not useful, as Sword of Hope is not a great ability, and requiring you to fill a meter, have enough ki to use it, and then be willing to get in close isn't worth it. For Trunks, we're going to be building exclusively to use Heat Dome Attack to clear out everything around, which, keep in mind, this ability is so amazing that I don't think there's really even a need for that many items. So let's just go through a few, but feel free to mix and match. Really, you don't need a lot to make this character work. Because we'll be using Heat Dome attack, which requires standing still to charge, we'll want some Bunguses to grant us healing while charging up, Tougher Times to help us tank damage, and Leeching Seed so we can get ultra healing. In terms of offensive items, we want some things like Will-O-Wisp, Gasoline, and Ukulele to just clear out more enemies en masse. But that's it. With all of that being said, the DBZ mods made by King are my absolute favorites for this game, so much that they're my preferred way to play. If you haven't checked them out yet, please consider giving them a download with links in the description. Feel free to let me know your favorite Saiyan to play as in Risk of Rain 2 down in the comments. I'll leave you with the Mithrix fight as per usual. See you next time.
See how you like this? Masenko! Tat! You're finished! This can't be happening! Father! There's no need for a warm-up here. Say goodbye! That's a start. I'll erase you completely! Ha! I'm through with you! You're finished! I'm putting everyone's hopes into this one attack! It's over! That's all for now. Thanks, everyone.